Oh, hey, I was just seeing how this camera works with this gimbal that I use. It's a DJI Osmo Mobile 3, and it allows the camera to follow me around, which is kind of spooky. No matter where you go, it follows me everywhere I am. So it's kind of cool when you're shooting stuff. Okay, well, that was too much activity for it, so it lost me there for a second. But anyway, wanted to bring you up to date on where we've been. Last we left off, we were in New Hampshire and going across the highway there through the national park, and you saw some absolutely stunning footage of the colors, and that really ended up being probably the best colors that we saw. But anyway, from there we ended up in Kennebunkport, Maine. That's where the Bush's compound is, and I'll get that into that in just a minute. We came into Kennebunkport and we stayed at a hotel called the Yachtsman's Hotel and Marine Club. And what it was is an old motel, flat, long motel. You've seen a million of them over the years. And they had redone this a year ago, May, and completely redid the whole thing, and it was beautiful. It was right on the Kennebunkport River. There's a couple little marinas right outside the hotel, and it's kind of right in the middle of everything, very, very close to all the activities going on in Kennebunkport. It's a busy place, place to great lobster, and we did that. So the first night we met some friends of mine from middle school and high school, JD and Janice Snackenberg. They live in Portland, Maine, which is only about 30 or 40 miles north of Kennebunkport. They came down, we went to Noonan's for lobster, and that was highly recommended because the people who catch the lobster are the same people who own the restaurant. So they bring the boats right into the back of the restaurant and the canal there, and bring the lobsters ashore and right onto your plate. Well, after they cook them, of course. So we had dinner there. Excellent lobster. I had two, Kathy had one. Next day, we stayed 2 nights in Kennebunkport, toured around downtown area, really cute part of downtown. And then we went out around Walker's Point, which is where the Bush's estate is. I think there's about 6 houses on there. Neat thing about it, it's a peninsula that sticks out into the Atlantic there. But just across a little body of water is a place where you can pull out on the car and you can see the whole compound from there. There was a storm brewing in the Atlantic that was coming up the East Coast, a little south of us, most of it, but the waves were huge, pounded into there. So that was pretty cool to see. We, that night, then went to Mabel's, and guess what? We had more lobster. Hadn't eaten all of it yet up there, so we had some more lobster, and it was also excellent. Then we left, and that was the most northern and eastern part of the country that we went to. So from that point on, we were turning south and heading to home. We'd already done, I think, about 2,600 miles. So we were well over half of the trip. And we headed south and came through Boston. Didn't stop in Boston, we just went right through Boston. Actually, we hoped to see some of the downtown. Kathy was trying to take some video, but the road goes through a tunnel right underneath downtown Boston, so we didn't really get to see much there. Went on to New Bedford, Massachusetts, which is south of Boston, just south of Cape Cod, because we are going to be meeting with some friends of ours, boating friends of ours from the Caribbean that live in Marion, Massachusetts. So we stayed in New Bedford, and that is an old fishing port. It is the largest fishing port in the entire U.S. And I'm not talking poles and buckets of worms like we used to do, right? Packard and Robert, take the pole out and a bucket of worms and you go fish. No, that's not what we're talking about here. These were huge boats that go out, and one of them was kind of working, looked like it was maybe training somebody, because they'd go out and they'd come back in, and that thing was even bigger. It's like the size of 3 or 4 of the normal big boats that they had. But it's cool. We were right across the road from the harbor. 5th floor room, looked right out over the harbor, and we stayed there for a couple days and toured around there. Went and saw our friends Dick and Judy Kilroy in Marion, Massachusetts, which is only about 10 or 11 miles from there. Really a great sailing town, and they've been into sailing their entire lives. They belong to the Beverly Yacht Club, which is one of the oldest yacht clubs in the United States. It was founded in 1872. They toured us around Marion and took us to the yacht club for dinner, and we had a wonderful meal there. Talked a lot about sailing. Dick, one of the things that Beverly Yacht Club is famous for is a Marion to Bermuda race that they do every year. And Dick actually raced in the very first one of those in 1977. So they've been into sailing a long time, and major sailing. I think their boat has made a trip 5 times, something like that. Made the race. So that was really interesting to see that.
And Judy sailed with the women.
And Judy, yeah, she competed with the women on Wednesday nights. What do you remember? I don't know what night of the week, but they competed every week, and she did a lot of sailing, won a lot of races in the women's regattas that they did. So that was fun to be around that level of sailing and see all the people there and see what that kind of a yacht club was like. Then the next day, we'd been there a couple days, so we went on to Newport, Rhode Island, which of course is another big sailing center. We went to the Breakers, which is one of the mansions. This was a Vanderbilt mansion built as a summer home for them. We toured it. Thank goodness we got there early before the big buses got there, so we got right on in and could walk all around and have these little headphones and you listen to the tour, and it was really, really good. What surprised us, I think, the most is that they had an elevator in this place. It was a 4-story house, and back in those days they'd put an elevator in it. Initially it was a hydraulic elevator, but they changed over the years to electric, so we got to go up all over the first floor and then all up to the second floor and around to all the bedrooms. And so I'll show some pictures of that along with this and some video, but it was really remarkable.
138 square feet.
138,000 square feet, just a little summer place, nothing major, just a little place to go to in the summer. 138,000 square feet. And then we went downtown on the seafront for lunch. Had a really nice, I'd say, absolutely gorgeous day. We've had some rain off and on, but it was a gorgeous day. Sat outside and had lunch. Then we drove on to Mystic, Connecticut, and we loved Mystic. We spent 2 nights there at the Whalers Inn, which was right downtown. I mean, right at the intersection where the main 2 roads, one of them goes over the little bridge into the oldest part of downtown. And we could just look out and see the bridge and just get outside and walk and see everything in the town, which was cool. We loved his little fishing village. And the other neat thing about Mystic, Connecticut, is that's where Mystic Pizza was filmed. The show that really just got Julia Roberts discovered. And Mystic Pizza was only 3 blocks from our hotel. We walked over the bridge, 2 more blocks, and we were at Mystic Pizza. We went there for lunch the second day and had a neat lunch, and the girl that was waiting on us gave us some information about the movie and told us where part of it was filmed, and so we got to go out there, and I'll talk about that in a second. But that was cool to be able to do that. We also, what's really neat about Mystic, Connecticut, is they have a Mystic Seaport, and it's a museum on the water. I mean, and it's a whole village, a whaling village that's been recreated there, with a lot of boats, lots of different kinds of boats, including the Charles Morgan, which fished for whales for 80 years and made 33 trips around the Cape of South America. Great and very interesting ship, and she can still sail. She's been out sailing recently. Got to go aboard that boat and just walk all over and see the whole thing. It's really, really interesting. The whole forepeak area of the boat, the forward area of the boat underneath was sleeping quarters for 24 crew, 12 sets of stacked bunks for 24 in this little V area up in the front, which was amazing. And they had little, what a bank was like back then, and different parts of making boats and the whole area of shipbuilding and whaling and all that. We'd spent all morning there. We could have spent 2 days there easily just looking around. It was amazing. So anyway, those tickets were given to us by our friends in Westport, Connecticut, Fred and Kathy Fassman. I'll talk about them in just a minute. So thank you, Fred and Kathy, for that. We had a great day enjoying that. Then we went out to Ford's, which is where part of Mystic Pizza, the movie, was filmed. The part where Kat comes in with a pizza for her mother, who's working down on the docks, preparing the lobsters to be shipped out. And it was a beautiful evening there, sunny and cool.
Ford's was a restaurant.
High 50s, low 60s. Yeah. Ford's is a restaurant now, but just a little seaside place, very, very casual. We sat outside and just got to watch the sun going down. It was absolutely beautiful that evening. Then we went on to Westport, Connecticut, and that's where we spent the last 2 days with our friends Kathy and Fred Fassman, also friends from the Caribbean. They used to bring their boat down every winter and winter with us in the Caribbean. And they showed us all around Westport, Connecticut, very historical area when it comes to the Revolutionary War and everything kind of since then. A lot of sailing there. Of course, they belong to a yacht club too. That's a Cedar Point Yacht Club. A heavy racing yacht club. It's not a social club, it's a racing club. So they had all different classes of boats and lots of kids programs in the summer and teaching kids how to sail and how to race. And it was really interesting to learn more about that. On the way down, we stopped in New Haven, had lunch at Yale University, picked up a sandwich and ate on the steps of the Yale University Art Museum and kind of walked around Yale University. That was really interesting. I had no idea it's like right downtown New Haven, which is an old city. Not great part of town, but it was safe enough to walk around during the day. So that was really interesting too. I think that's it. Kathy, you got anything else?
I think it's good. We got to see Fred and Kathy's grandchildren.
Yeah, I got to see Fred and Kathy's grandchildren, have dinner with them last night. And it stormed like crazy, blew, 40, 50 mile an hour winds during the night. It rained a ton, but today it's beautiful. And we drove 39 miles from their place to New York. So now we're in Long Island. I'm going to see my cousin and his wife tonight and some more people, but that's for the next video. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Anyway, hope you're enjoying these. We're having a great time, as you can tell, and highly recommend y'all doing a trip like this sometime. It is absolutely gorgeous up here and a fun place to be. So anyway, we'll tell you more about New York as we get through this part, and then on to Princeton, New Jersey, and keep it on moving on down. So enjoy the videos and see you on down the road.